targets in the workforce.
Arts were a rather risky notion and pretty much stereotyped as being a flighty group of non-business folk.
Most people don't really take artists too seriously. They think that we all live under rocks.
Well, the kind of support that we received from the administrators in the CETA program have been unlimited encouragement.
We have in the CETA Artist Program the WPA of yesteryear.
Hundreds of people just eager to get into the program. People are lining up in the streets, something like 6 o'clock in the morning.
And some of us slept overnight in order to get in, just to get a paper for an appointment to be interviewed.
Having worked closely with CETA training programs, that I can testify to the tremendous effectiveness.
Now, I'm not rich by any means, but I'm somehow staying alive.
It has given many people an opportunity to learn what a full day's work is all about, to teach some of the artists some work habits that they might not previously have had.
It's more of enjoyment. It's me giving myself. It's something that I'm gaining personally from it.
The Comprehensive Employment and Training Act, popularly known as CETA, has affected the lives of many Americans. The most spirited of these programs is related to the arts and the artist. CETA was conceived to provide training, education, work experience, and other support services to eligible people in an effort to prepare the jobless for unsubsidized employment. Artists in America qualified on all counts. As CETA was beginning, John Kreidler was appointed as an intern in the San Francisco Art Commission's Neighborhood Arts Program. Steve Goldstein of the San Francisco Art Institute reflects on the beginnings of the CETA Arts Partnership with the original administrators.
First of all, you had an individual who had a vision and an idea. He knew, in the case of John Kreidler, from not only his experience with the federal government, but his knowledge of manpower history, of what went on during the WPA. He had written a thesis on
Kreidler's experience in public policy, employment and training, and the Office of Management and Budget persuaded the prime sponsor to consider the possibility of CETA funding artist positions. And thus began one of the greatest experiments in America since the Works Progress administration of the 1930s.
When the Art Commission came in with their first proposal asking for about 25 positions, it was reviewed by our office, and although slightly different from our normal type of clerical type positions in city departments or whatever, the way it was presented, very organized and thorough, the staff was very excited about it.
I was the coordinator of the CETA program, and I had the opportunity to work with the artists. From the moment they were hired to the moment they wrote their projects.
The combination, which is really dynamite, that we found is the combination of a working artist with children.
I was the person who signed a bunch of pieces of paper, fought off a certain number of critics in City Hall.
Once CETA was in operation, administrators at the local, state, and federal levels identified artists as a jobless population group with tremendous employment potential. One artist is Patty Rodriguez, one of the first 4 CETA artists hired in San Francisco.
In 1971, we began as a group basically to do murals for the community, try to get commissions. The commissions at the time were very small, but we felt that it was really important to do murals that were out, public artwork that was done for the community, in the community.
Today, the Neighborhood Arts Program is charged with activity. This atmosphere can be attributed to imaginative use of the CETA Arts Partnership. Alfonso Maciel, director of the program, comments.
The program itself serves an average of 430,000 people a year. This is according to our documentation. And to build a program to that size, a program that can actually touch 1 out of every 2 San Francisco residents was made possible only with the participation of the CETA program. Last year, we employed 123 CETA employees. The maximum that we ever had was 147 at one time. Through the years, we have seen literally hundreds of artists, technicians, administrators, and all kinds of personnel come through the ranks. I'm very pleased to say that although we missed the program sorely, a great percentage of the participants have been able to find unsubsidized work.
Many artists have evolved from CETA to unsubsidized jobs as artists or in arts-related employment. The CETA Arts concept won acceptance with local administrators across the country. But in the process, the term public service employment was interpreted to facilitate a broad variety of goals. The City Arts Program of Dallas, which has a 77% placement record, placed CETA artist Etta Jameson with the Department of Recreation. Later, the department established a permanent staff position for an artist in residence, thereby creating non-CETA employment.
Okay, Keyshawn, you know you started with your left foot and still your right. The benefits that I feel the dance has for young people is that it gives them self-discipline. And secondly, it can be used as an outlet for the future in terms of dancing professionally with a company, choreographing, or becoming an instructor.
Skills developed by CETA participants at the Theater Project in Baltimore, directed by Phil Arnault, were used by the Department of Housing and Community Development to tackle the city's pest control problems.
So that was a real, not only was it a good project and a wonderful training opportunity, but it was also the local manpower office here really believing in this product and staying with us at a very critical time.
Hello everybody, my name is Dr. Addis.
Artists hired by CETA were able to practice their own style of theater while performing a vital service for the city and its citizens.
Join in the Rat Squad by taking the Rat Squad oath. So right now I'd like everybody to repeat after me. I care about my city.
I care about my city.
I will not share my city with rats.
I will not share my city with rats.
Now, by the power vested in me, I do hereby declare you all special agents in the Rat Squad.
We really understood from the very beginning that the legislation was never intended to make art. The legislation was intended to train people. And we took that training responsibility very seriously.
Blackfeet Manpower Development, sponsor of the CETA program for the Blackfeet tribe in Browning, Montana, facilitated marketing of craft products by senior craftspeople on the reservation. CETA curators gain valuable experience in a museum setting that also serves as a marketing outlet for the crafts.
We hope to start some community industries and hopefully work in conjunction with Glacier National Park so that these skills that these ladies have can be marketable and get them self-supporting.
Art was used as therapy and to develop basic life skills when CETA artists Mark Jensen and Keith Thiele worked with handicapped youths in an agency in Dallas, Texas.
Mark and I have had a very good chance this summer to apply a lot of our training. We've been able to take skills and knowledge that we have of the design process and apply that to a project from beginning to end. These handicapped and disabled people, although they probably will not make a career of the theater, are still learning a lot of skills that they can apply to their own personal lives. Sewing skills, painting, artwork. It just covers a wide range, making them more aware of how the art world affects the world around them.
In New York City, Hospital Audiences Incorporated, an arts organization with CETA funding, hired additional artists to perform services with numerous agencies serving institutionalized residents.
Debbie's function here as an artist in residence is and was to work with the long-term psychiatric patients. People that she was working with today very much are people who were institutionalized for about 5 years minimum and are now living at this facility.
Visual artist Deborah Bryant now has an unsubsidized position with an agency she once served as a CETA artist. Musicians Ann Waller and Mark Maxwell, artists in residence in the Dallas CETA Arts program, had an unusual audience and opportunity to perform.
I think that as a musician, one can study and practice all of one's life, and if you don't have the opportunity to perform, you never really develop into an artist. I think that what CETA has done for me is given me the opportunity to perform in a variety of situations quite often, so that I really can develop my ability to communicate what I want to communicate in my playing.
We've had a chance to perform some unusual music, early music, particularly with the lute, and early music for the guitar in very unusual situations, like rest homes and for people who would normally not get a chance to hear this music. And I think in that it's given the public as well as us a great vehicle for listening to
it. In Baltimore, community beautification projects such as Beautiful Walls were charged with emotion from all sides.
Before any project, any mural could be produced, the artists had to meet with the community groups and get their agreement that the mural was acceptable. And many of the citizens, they take a great deal of pride in the murals in their communities. It's very exciting to ride through the city now and look at the murals.
In addition to the mural projects being designed originally as public service contributions, there were many employment and training objectives achieved by the artist supervisors and their apprentices.
It was real nice to get to work with the communities. I learned a lot about PR and writing up proposals, and in fact a lot about teaching, which is what this ultimately led to for me.
I was given the assignments of completing designs for historical theme murals. After the program ended, I was able to find a job in the art field with a department store without much problem.
In Baltimore, the Mayor's Office of Manpower Resources sponsored the Arts Expansion Project, a cultural enrichment program.
What the environmental sculpture program provides is a basic understanding of the principles of three-dimensional design, which the student can then apply to any of the arts.
CETA cultural enrichment projects for Baltimore's youths were effective in capturing their imagination at a formative time. Programs like this lay the foundation for future decisions about work. The Arkansas State CETA office worked with the state's Arts Council to develop an Apprentices in the Arts project. Unemployed youths were placed with eligible, experienced artists holding teacher-supervisor positions. The apprentices' new art skills can be used in future-related jobs. These young apprentices learn about textiles, dyes, fabrics, spinning special yarns, and retail marketing. Their instructor is Eleanor Lux.
I'm a weaver, and I'm an artist, and I do both of them at the same time. I weave pictures, basically, and I've managed to continue to do them and make a living at it. Through CETA and the Apprentice in the Art grants, it made it possible for me to learn a lot more about business, which is never stressed very much because artists don't like to admit that they have to be business people. The record-keeping, timesheets, production, delegating authority. When you're doing a large piece and it has to be done in 3 months' time, there's no way you can handle it yourself. Every CETA apprentice I've had has liked it well enough to learn enough that when they leave, they can weave.
Artists working on large sculptures have to become more than competent in construction industry crafts, framing, welding, abrasive art skills, layout, and design.
This is a scale model of Solar Hook. The main section of the gnomon, which will cast a shadow, tell the time, is a 20-foot piece of 12-inch well casing. These side hooks, which will establish our east-west lines, will be 8 feet, also fabricated out of steel and cemented into place here at the site. On Solar Hook, I'll have 3 apprentices working with me. There's a great deal of layout work to be done with a project like this. We've got a 40-foot dial base that we'll have to construct here at the site.
Youthful apprentices learn surveying, mathematics, engineering principles, and a host of valuable job market skills.
Well, I've learned how to use cutting torches and how to build sculptures with them and laying rock and using power tools and things of this nature, which I believe will help me in my future career.
I'm very pleased to work with Mark Warner. This isn't the first job that he has done for the Corps of Engineers. He has put in a sundial at the Lead Hill Park, which is not too far from here. But I think with the magnitude that's coming about with this one, I think it'll be even more impressive and more of an asset to the area that we have surrounding Bull Shoals Lake. To my knowledge, there is no other sculpture of this type within the whole system of the Corps of Engineers nationwide.
In the larger urban settings that are noted for thriving cultural industries, the shape of the CETA Arts programs approached employment and training initiatives in different ways. The Commissioner of the Department of Employment for the City of New York, Ronald Galt, addresses these issues.
The CETA Artist program is important to the economy, it's important to the labor force here, and as the Commissioner for the Department of Employment, I can speak specifically to training-related jobs because you have many people who are before the cameras or on stage, moving into areas that will make them teachers, that will make them instructors, that will enable them to expand and refine their craft to work in a business like fashion. We have 17 million visitors annually. Tourism is a big business in New York City, and the culture and the artistic contributions of artists that come out of the CETA Artist program contribute in a substantial way to that culture and to that artistic creativity.
Jazz, America's most indigenous art form, provides a unique attraction for cities like New Orleans, Kansas City, Chicago. But the real haven for contemporary jazz is New York City. Executive Director for Jazzmobile, David Bailey, describes this.
The success of Jazzmobile has been because of effective and competent administration. And in the CETA program, the program that we had, that was stressed to musicians. So what we designed the program to do was to enhance their skills, to make them more employable so that they could go from this subsidized employment program to unsubsidized employment. What the musicians did was they only practiced and performed under the leadership of a master musician. They taught them about presentation, how to present themselves, how to read a contract, how to protect themselves, even in situations as videotaping and motion picture. And we think that's a very, very important aspect of it, because if you're going to be in this business, you really have to understand it and run it as a business. Otherwise, you're doomed to failure.
Within the culture industry, dance is experiencing a tremendous growth period, with the supply of well-trained dancers not quite meeting the demand for dance productions and touring. At the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, workshop director Kelvin Rotardier comments.
Thank God for CETA. Because of this, we are able to have 3 hours of classes per day, 2 classes in different techniques, jazz, and classical technique, and they have rehearsals with different choreographers for 4.5 hours. It teaches them discipline and being ready to work. So when they go out on the labor market to audition, they would have already learned to operate under those kind of intensive, concentrated regimens.
One of Alvin's dreams is...
James Budahasi, CETA Dance Workshop Administrator, remarks.
We've had people from the CETA project go into the first company. We've had approximately 15 go into the repertory ensemble. We have people who have gone on national tours with Broadway shows. We have a young lady who is now on the teaching staff who was a CETA participant. We have a young man who was recently auditioned and was taken into the Martha Graham Company. The training that they get on this type of program, I think, allows these young people to go out and find viable employment.
The key program designs in Indiana were identifying job markets and moving artists toward lucrative self-employment. The Indiana Creative Resource Corporation, directed by Charles Ansbach, concentrated on marketing artist products.
We wanted to look at how do you perhaps integrate the arts and artists more effectively into the economic mainstream of the community. And that's really what we concentrated on. So we looked at the problems that entailed, and that was mostly for us, that was artists had a difficult time reaching at times their major markets. In the course of learning arts skills, very often did not learn business skills that would help in self-employment.
The CETA program has provided a lot of artists like myself with the opportunity to implement some of those ideas that we had in a creative way, which may allow us to make a product that we consider worthwhile.
We had to figure out all our suppliers, all the people that we could get, all the grounds and inks, and just work out a business.
We developed an initial line of about 10 designs, 8 or 10 designs, colored them up in a variety of ways, and have done some test marketing in the Chicago area. Without the support of the CETA program, it would have been impossible for us to attempt this kind of a test project.
Clarence and Susan began as CETA workers and have been able to successfully organize a business that has begun to employ and train other artists. Another innovation by the Indiana Creative Resource Corporation of national significance was the development of the Red Bud catalog.
The catalog itself was really designed, again, to be a mail-order market, a year-round kind of market for craftspeople that allowed them to sell their work without having to put them on consignment or travel around to craft shows or what have you, and particularly like during the winter month.
It was important to us that we get people from the entire state of Indiana. So we got to go up and meet people from different art groups and art organizations around the state, and then talk to them about their products and help them decide what they would like to put in the catalog.
It increased sales by about 5% in that first year effort, which I consider fine. It was a learning experience for everybody involved, and it helped me out. I'm hopeful it'll be better. I changed a few things I had in it, added some, took 1 or 2 away, based on that first year's experience.
The catalog itself has helped me tremendously in that it's been good advertising. Somehow when people see things in black and white on paper, they realize that possibly hand-woven clothing is a viable art form.
Effective planning and execution accounts for the 89% placement record for the Indiana project. The prime objective for the CETA Arts experiment was preparing artist participants for upward mobility in the job market. This led to unexpected dividends, as in the case of Pamela Moran and Leslie Carell of Oakland, California.
The arts are as important to our nation as food, clothing, and shelter. I left CETA to start a production facility to take the work that I had been doing and expand it into a real production level business.
So this was a wonderful opportunity for us to join forces. Leslie was a jeweler, I'm a printmaker and into surface design, and to take our product then out into the marketplace and expand it beyond a kind of teaching community thing into a more industrial commercial enterprise, as well as, you know, maintaining our own aesthetic and high quality and in the creative realm.
Today, Pamela and Leslie have 10 workers employed in their jewelry design and manufacturing operation. Another element of success for the artists in the San Francisco program was in the field of restoration. Ruby Newman describes her direction to this important career option.
I was originally looking for a city muralist job, and there weren't any posted, so I went over the job descriptions again and saw the one on restoring the carousel. And since I was originally trained in theater production, I felt that I could handle it. So I went after what was called the painter-restorer position. And then I was hired. CETA was very supportive of my efforts. They backed me the whole time that I was with them. CETA paid for the labor aspect of the project, and San Francisco Park and Recreation covered all of the material costs and additional labor that was brought in. The funds ran out in December of '79, and at that time Park and Rec were pretty happy with the job that was progressing along and endorsed it and agreed to do a private contract with me to continue it. I have about 6 people doing prep in the shop, someone doing wood carving, a technical consultant who comes in who's an artist and who's very astute at preparation techniques. So he's the person who has given me a lot of my input and also helped me train my crew. So I would say a good 8 people have been able to have work from it.
Not only did the CETA Arts experiment encompass cultural and commercial aspects of the arts, the program also served as a catalyst for motivating artists to venture into private business, into entrepreneurship. Artists are now making a powerful impact on a broad segment of the national economy. Quality of life services, restoration, industries, environmental enrichment, and numerous innovations in the national workforce.